Well, good morning, or actually good afternoon. I keep saying good morning, but we are afternoon now. So good afternoon, good afternoon. So yes, we are here with our next live class. We have the lovely Lucy O'Reilly from Lucy's Designs. She's going to be coming on now very shortly. She's actually going to talk about different parts of websites, but she's recently, as in the last couple of years, started her own business. So she's going to talk a little bit about her own entrepreneurial side. So coming from one side, one part of life, into a new part of life, which for a lot of our students, that is the case. You have moved career, you have moved profession. So it's nice to sort of see it from another perspective, somebody who has done something else before and started a new business, and she's full of knowledge. And I've just been talking to her off screen there, and she's in the green room, as we say. She has so much information to tell you. She also has information on funding, so if you're interested in getting funding for your website or anything like that, stay tuned till the end. She has information on that also. If you're watching on the replay, we will have Lucy's details. If you want to email her or contact her, you can to ask her any questions. Lucy is live. She can see all the questions here today. So if you've any questions at all, post them in the comments. Let her know that you're watching. Let us know where you're watching from, and obviously let us know what the weather is like. And if you any questions, Lucy can answer anything live. She can see it all. But if you're watching on the replay, you can post the comments if you wish, or we will post Lucy's email address and details to her business, and you can post go over there and she will answer any of your questions. She also can do an online call with you if you're interested in getting her to do a website, although she's telling me she's out the door, so you might be lucky if you get her. If you're interested in getting a new website or changing your website or just upgrading your website. We were talking there earlier on about websites, and we're like, it's like your house. You need to decorate it every couple of years, or change your hairstyle or do whatever. So anyway, listen, without further ado, I'm going to bring on Lucy and welcome her to our Bloom Rooms. Welcome, Lucy. We're delighted to have you.
Good afternoon, Deirdre. Hello, everybody. Now I can't see. I have no idea who's here.
Okay. So this is, have you used StreamYard before, Lucy?
No, I'm usually on Zoom.
Okay. So no, you won't see anybody. You'll only see yourself, but you will be able to see the comments. So what I'm asking, maybe a few people we have watching in, just drop in, say hello in the comments, so we know that you're watching. Lucy knows that you're watching. I'm used to talking to the webcam all day, every day. So so Lucy hasn't used StreamYard before. So pop in, say hello. And if you have any questions at all, you will, Lucy's here to answer them. So you should be able to, I'm going to leave you be, Lucy. And if you need me, I'm here in the background. I'm listening in myself because I know I'm going to learn loads too. And I look forward to it. Thanks a million.
Okay, great. So, hi, everybody. So a little bit unnerving not knowing who I'm speaking to, but if you can just put in the chat maybe where you're tuning in from, that would be great, just so that I know I'm not speaking out to the ether. Anyway, so lovely to be here today. I do have some slides that I'm going to walk you through. I want to basically talk to you about some of the top tips for building a website that will convert, that will lead to sales. There's a few sort of basic elements that need to be included in your website that I think it would be useful for you to think about. Before we get started, let me just see if I can share my screen. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, slideshow. Okay, so now all I can see is my is my PowerPoint. So Deirdre, can you see that?
I can, and I think you just need to X out one of them and you should be able to see it because you're on screen with your PowerPoint presentation at the moment.
Oh, so what do I, okay, so all I can see is my PowerPoint. So what do you think I need to do?
Don't know. Oh, okay. Can you see anything?
Okay, I can just see my slides. It's fine.
Okay, can you see any of the comments? You've lots of comments there. You have people tuning in from Chesterfield. You have Joanna's tuning in from Chesterfield. You have Carol is tuning in from County Louth. You have Sam is tuning in from Birmingham. You have a Facebook user tuning in from Athlone. And you have Michelle from Wicklow. And it's a miserable day in Westmeath, just in case, because we always find out what the weather is like when people tune in.
Okay, well, Okay, well, great that you have people home and abroad. That's fantastic. I'm in Dunleary, South County Dublin, and it's grey but dry and mild here today. Anyway, all I can see is my slides, but that's fine. I'll have a look at the chat afterwards. So my name is Lucy O'Reilly. My company is Lucy Designs, and I'm a Squarespace specialist. So we haven't met before, obviously. So I'm also a brand designer. So I'm helping entrepreneurs attack their ideal clients with visual identities and branding design. I'm also a web designer and have built over 50 Squarespace websites to date. More recently, I've also been helping entrepreneurs who wish to launch online courses, get themselves set up online with their website, but also a learning management system. I've been using Kajabi for the last year or so with online course creators. And I also specialize in sales page design and marketing consulting. I wear a very large marketing hat in all my work because, well, as I was saying earlier, there's no point just having a pretty website if you don't know how to actually turn it into a marketing machine. It is your number one marketing tool. So when I'm dealing with my clients, I wear my large marketing hat. So a little bit of a background story. I wasn't always a designer or a web designer at all. I graduated from Trinity College in 1992 with a degree in French and Spanish and took off to Paris, where I worked in event management for about 12 years. I was organizing conferences and congresses all over the world. I did a little bit of event marketing at the time, and I was a little bit frustrated that I couldn't design my own event collateral. So in those days, it was kind of the beginning of the internet, but it was really, we were talking flyers and, print material in those days. And I was always looking over the shoulder of the person in the office who at the time was sort of using Cork Express or whatever, maybe Photoshop was out in those days. And I was always like, oh, that'd be kind of cool to know how to do that. So fast forward 12 years back home in Dublin, I was at home with 3 kids basically for the best part of 10 years after I came home from Paris. But I did go back to college in 2014 to study graphic design and web design. I've been kind of trying to teach myself just on the side, but decided to go back to college to learn how to do it properly. In 2018, then, unfortunately, my relationship broke up with my husband and I suddenly had to start earning again. So I decided to turn my side hustle into a business. So I launched Lucy Designs full-time at the end of 2018. And I'm happy to say that it's been an upward trajectory since then. And I'm consistently booked out now months in advance as a web designer and brand designer. So if you want to talk a little bit more at the end about my entrepreneurial journey, we can, but I just want to let you know that, whether you're starting out at age, 18, 21 or 51, you can build a business online successfully. If I can do it, you can do it. So my tips for selling online. So the first thing to bear in mind when you're designing your website is that you design it for your ideal client. So this sort of strategic thinking is really important, that you do that before you actually, open up WordPress or get into contact with a web designer. You have to think, who is your ideal client? So who are they? What are their motivations? So why do they need a service such as yours? So, for florists, you might go, well, everybody needs flowers every now and then, for special occasions or maybe for a wedding. But I actually advise that you dig a little bit deeper than that, to like, why would they need, is it just, are they a wedding planner? Are they the bride? Who's actually buying the flowers, and what are their motivations for working with somebody like you? So if we take an example, I get lots of customers saying to me, oh, my ideal client is a female between the ages of 25 and 40. They live in the city and they like to, they like to shop on upmarket websites such as Net-a-Porter. I go, okay, well, why does she want to shop on a website such as that? Is it because she's a wealthy housewife who loves the thrill of getting a beautifully packaged box through her door, all tied up in ribbons, which is what you get when you buy from fancy websites like Net-a-Porter? Or is it because she's a super busy career woman who needs to dress in a certain way, but actually doesn't have time to go out to the shops and buy her clothing herself? So we've, a sort of a similar profile, but actually very different motivations for going to a site such as Net-a-Porter. So it's important to dig deep to understand why your customers are coming to your website, and what their motivations are for buying flowers online. So once you know who your ideal client is, there are 5 keys to converting them into buyers or subscribers. When I say subscribers, that's because sometimes your goal is actually to build up your email list, for example, or a list of followers before they might be actually ready to buy. So the first thing is, obviously, you need to be clear. There needs to be a voice and a vibe on your website, your calls to action. You need to provide value, and you need to make it simple to work with you. So when we talk about clarity, when somebody lands on your website, you have basically 8 seconds to grab their attention. So within an instant, they need to know what you do, who you do it for, where you do it, if that's important, if location is important, and what makes you different. So you need to make clear what problem you solve and how. So if you take this as an example of a homepage where there's no headline, so we're left looking at going, okay, is this a florist? Is this a wedding planner? Or maybe it could even be an event venue. There's nothing on the homepage to tell us exactly who it is, what they do, and who they do it for. So your tagline, there's a recipe, and it's really hard to get this right. But as I say, it should be 1 part what you do, who you serve, where you are, if that's relevant. So if your target market is people in Athlone, for example, and you only want to work with people in Athlone, well, then you mention Athlone in your tagline. How you are different, so what sets you apart from your competitors, and then a call to action below that. The next thing to think about is the visual style and vibe of your website. So I recommend to my customers that we do a sort of a visual, like a sort of a mood board to get inspiration. We put ourselves in the shoes of the ideal customer, and we think, okay, what brands do they like? We also think about what language do they use? How would you describe their style? So the language, for example, if your ideal customer is, a COO or a CEO in a big corporate firm, well, the language that you use on your website is going to be very different to if it's, a 21-year-old or a 25-year-old bride-to-be. And whether if she's in Ireland, you're going to speak in a different way than if she's in North America, for example. So the language that they use is very important. The brands that they like, because when they come to your website, they're going to want to feel at home, and they're going to go, yeah, this is this person gets me. This is my kind of vibe. This is the style that I like. So here's an example. Lola, she's 21. She's interested in fashion, art, illustrations, fairy tales, festivals, tattoos, this type of thing. We look at the kind of music that she likes. What's her sort of fashion style? Where does she shop? And you could tell that this would be, if you were designing your website for the Lolas of this world, well, it would look quite different to the woman that I showed you earlier, who was in her very smart corporate-looking attire. So when you profile your customers like this, it helps you design your website, because, as I say, they need to feel at home and they need to feel that you get them. So when you're designing your website, you're not really designing it for you. I get a lot of people, and particularly when we do branding work, which is actually the first step before you even start your website, is to make sure your own brand is designed with creatively, obviously, but also with intent. So your brand should reflect you and your business and your values and how you work. but it should also be attractive to your ideal customer. So we do similar customer profiling when we're doing branding work. So when people come to me, go, oh, you know, I love these colors, or you know, I'd love my website to look like, you know, this other website that's potentially, you know, often people like websites that are tailored to them, but they may not be their own ideal customer, if you know what I mean. So you have to put your customer front and center when you're designing your website, so that, as I say, they feel at home when they get there. So as I alluded to this earlier, it's important also to give your site a voice. So use your ideal client's words, their expressions, their jokes, and, you know, reference their pop culture. Tell them that you get them. And you know, it's really hard to do this because people say to me, but yeah, but then, like, if I use that very specific language, well, then other people are going to land on my website and they're going to be put off. It's like, well, that's okay, because you're not trying to cater to everybody. It is important to, as I say, I've said at the beginning, decide who your ideal customer is and speak to them. And don't worry if you don't speak to the other types of customers, because they're not the ones you want. It doesn't mean that you only work with one customer, but you should, when you're planning your online marketing, you think, who is it I really want to work with? So if you're selling flowers, are you selling flowers to hotels, or are you selling flowers to venues, or are you selling them to, you know, families? Are you selling them to brides to be? Because each of these will have very different needs, have very different requirements. And as I say, when you dig a little bit deeper, so, you know, if you're providing flowers to you know, if brides are picking their flowers, well, what's that bride's vibe? What is she likely to? Is she going to look for something super minimalist, or is it, you know, full on bouquets to go with the meringue dress? I mean, I'm being very stereotypical, but it's just to make a point. When you think of their ideal, what their needs are, but also what their style is, what their vibe is, so that, as I say, when they land on your website, they feel, yeah, this person gets me. This person knows exactly what it is I'm looking for. So try not to sort of throw spaghetti at the wall and hope that some of it will stick. Pick a niche, understand your ideal customer, put them in the forefront of your mind at all stages. And it's the same when you're on social media. I mean, all your output, your blogging, your vlogging, all your outward communication, you should always just keep your ideal customer at the forefront of your mind. And what are their pain points? What it is, you know, how can you help them? So the result is that your client knows what you do when you've got your tagline and your overall look and feel of your website. Your client understands what they do, and they know that you get them and that you understand their problems. And that's the key to conversion. The next thing to think about on your website is your calls to action. So to you, it might be obvious that you're selling flowers, or that you're trying to build your subscriber list, or that you want people to sign up for a free inquiry call or something with you if it's for an event, for example. But actually, you need to tell people what to do. As I say, people now, they don't spend a long time on websites. They speed read them. So that's why you see buttons saying, you know, do this over here. These are your calls to action. So it's really important that you tell your site visitors where to go. And that starts on your homepage, but in fact, on every page of your website, you should always be guiding them through your website to the sort of your ideal destination, which is maybe your contact page, or it's download this freebie. We'll talk about freebies in a minute. You sort of have to plan your website based on what you want your ideal customer to do. So you guide them from your homepage to where they need to be, and speak directly to them. Speak as if speak on your website, the language use, like, speak directly. So use I, so write in the first person, or we, if there's a team, or a bigger, you know, a shop, if there's a group of you, you can speak in terms of we, but speak, you know, instead of saying we help brides do X, Y, and Z, or we provide beautiful bouquets for brides to be, it's your wedding's coming. We can provide the bouquet that you're looking for, the bouquet of your dreams. Speak directly to the person, because there is a human at the other side of the screen reading your website. So speak directly to them. Another thing you can do on your website, which I highly advise, is provide real value. So there's a couple of ways of doing that. First of all, have a blog or a vlog. If you want to create video on YouTube, that's brilliant. YouTube is the #2 search engine out there, Google obviously being the #1. By creating valuable content on your website, it's a way of showing your clients your expertise, what you know, how you work, how you can help them. Your blog is a perfect place to do that, because you can write articles about lots of different topics. You can share case studies. You can get other people to come on and write a guest blog if there's somebody in a similar industry or somebody else who can provide value to your ideal customer. The other benefit of the blog, obviously, is that that's all super rich content for Google to pick up for your search engine optimization. So if you just put up your 3 to 4 page website with your gallery or your portfolio of events that perhaps you've catered for with your floristry, and then an about page and a home page and a contact page, and then just leave it there, well, chances are there's not an awful lot of content for Google to find. So when somebody puts a search into Google, florist in Athlone, well, Google then sends its spiders out across the web going, okay, I'm looking for content that says florist in Athlone. So obviously there's lots of places that can pick it up, but the natural place for them to pick that up is on your website. If you only have that mentioned once on your website, well, depending on how many florists there are in Athlone, you may or may not have a lot of competition. But by creating ongoing content, it's basically rich pickings for Google to pick up the content when people do their searches. And as I say, you can also then share your knowledge and your expertise with your audience. Another way to provide value is to give something away for free. Now, this is not, you don't do this purely because you feel like being generous, because there is an investment in making this work. But the kickback for you is that you get an email address in return. And it is important to build your email list, because it's a whole other conversation. But email marketing is... the returns on your investment are much, much higher than any social media marketing that you could do, for example. So if you have people who actively give you their email address in return for something, they've said to you, yes, here's my email, I want to hear more from you. So they're already a little bit warmer than somebody who might just see your posts on social media but hasn't actively engaged with you. So how do you provide value? So we call it an opt-in gift or a lead magnet. And so in order for it to be effective, it needs to provide real value to your audience. So again, you're back to thinking, what's my audience's pain points? Why are they online? What are they looking for? So it could be 8 tips for, I don't know, I don't know much about floristry, but it could be the top 8 tips for choosing flowers for your wedding, or how to keep flowers from your garden fresh, or I don't know if that might not necessarily actually be relevant to your target audience, but when people go onto Google, they usually are asking a question. So what, how, where, how much. Comparisons. So what's the difference between this and that? So if you can provide answers to those kind of questions in a download, or maybe they get access to a video where you explain something, or you give examples of something. It has to be useful, though. They need to walk away and go, God, I got this information from that website. She really knows her stuff. And look, now I have this list, so I know what to ask for when I go to, the next time I buy flowers or whatever. It has to be useful. It has to provide value to them. Nobody's going to give you their email just to, just to be on your list. Or just to get a sort of a 3-point, 4-point checklist. If you really want people to come back to your website again or to value your services, you need to provide value to them. So what could you give? So as I say, it needs to relate to their pain point. And it is also, you know, something that's a perfect introduction to your service. So you like to think that they go, yeah, wow, I got this, I was able to watch this video, or I got a free trial of something, or maybe I got a discount on something. That's pretty cool. So you're already introducing them to your service and getting them to like you. Right, the next thing on your website is the booking inquiry conversion. So that means actually getting people to, depending on what your goal is for your website, but to get them to buy from you or to sign up for an inquiry call or whatever it is. So how do you do that? One, you have to make it super simple. So on my website, for example, I have a scheduler where anybody can book a free 30-minute call with me to discuss their website requirements. For example, it's simple. You pick the date that suits you, you put in your name, you get an automated email with the Zoom link. It's very straightforward. Tell them what they need to know. So I always recommend to my customers that they include an FAQ page on their website, so frequently asked questions. Because all our customers frequently have questions that they have. If you can provide those questions on your website, answers to those questions on your website, again, the person's going, oh yeah, this person's thought about what my needs are and has answered those questions. Make it clear what your packages are. If you do have packages, explain your process, explain what happens, what you want them to do next. So for example, a free consultation call, and then what happens after that. As I say, use your website as a place to speak directly to your ideal customer. And again, put yourself in their shoes. And if they've come to your website looking for a florist, well, what are the kind of questions? I mean, the thing is, you have the answers to these questions because, if you're already up and running in business, you're getting asked these questions all the time. So it's important to be always listening, or maybe you're in Facebook groups or online groups where people are, your ideal customers are hanging out. And so it's important to listen. What are the kind of questions that they're asking? Or if you're running a course, for example, a training course or something, again, you're listening online. What do people want to learn about? What do people want to know about? And then you give them those answers on your website. I mean, it's free real estate to explain what you do and make it easy for people to book your services. Okay, so I spoke about this a little bit earlier. It's your visual identity. And as I said, it's actually the first step before you start a website, is to get your branding, the branding for your business designed in such a way that, as I said, it obviously represents your business, but it's also attractive to your ideal customer. So it needs to be designed ideally by a professional designer who will ask you all sorts of questions about you, about your business and your ideal customer. Generally, they'll then provide you with a style Bible. So you will have a logo, but you'll also have your color palette. You'll have a series of fonts that you use. And the idea is that you apply these to all your touch points. So whether it's your website, a flyer or a brochure, your social media, there needs to be consistency across the board, because that just means that when people see your logo or see your designs, they go, oh yeah, no, I saw that on Instagram, or yeah, I met that person at a trade show, and all the touch points, all the dots get joined up. So a strong visual identity, and that then obviously, that then applies to your website. So I've kind of done this in the wrong way around. Start with your visual identity. Well, start with who, the strategy behind your business, your goals, your mission, your vision, all that stuff. Who's your ideal customer? Then you can, at that point, you can then brief your visual identity designer, your brand designer. And then the next step then is your website, your social media, and all the other touch points. So as I say, if you can, if you want to take your business seriously, and if you want people to invest their hard-earned cash in your business, it is important to invest in getting this done professionally. It just really sets you up for success when you have a professionally designed brand. So I'm not sure where we are for time. We just don't know if I'll go quickly through the idea of landing pages. So a landing page is something that can sit on your website or can sit separate to your website. And it's a place where you send people with a specific target action in mind. So, for example, if you were running an ad on Facebook for a specific offer or a new product or service that you were launching, the ad typically would direct people back to a landing page, which would be a standalone page. As I say, it can be on your website. Well, if I do a landing page on a website that's part of an advertising campaign, I use code to hide the header, hide the footer. The idea is that there's no clutter, there's no distractions on the page, that it's pure, focused and targeted on the sale or whatever it is that you're promoting. The benefit of having landing pages, and there are apps out there that make it easy to design landing pages without even having a website, but you could still make a sale on it or get an inquiry call. And the benefit of having landing pages when you're launching something or when you have a specific campaign is that you can measure how effective your campaign was. If you do a Facebook ad campaign, for example, and you just send the people back to your homepage, well, you can track that through the Facebook pixel on your website. But then if somebody lands then on your homepage, well, then they need to know where do they go next. So by having a dedicated landing page for your offer or your marketing campaign, it means it's much more measurable, and so you'll know how successful your campaign is. You also have a bit more design freedom on a standalone landing page. Your offer or your product or your course or whatever it is you're launching might have a visual identity of its own. It should obviously be, it should complement your overall branding. But sometimes we give sub-branding to individual products or services. And so you have a little bit more freedom when this landing page stands separate to the rest of your website. And again, because it's focused on conversions, you make it easy for your client to buy or sign up or whatever it is you're trying to achieve with that campaign. So SEO, huge topic. We could speak for a couple of hours on search engine optimization alone, but my number one sort of recommendation is create fresh content on your website. Use your blog. And when I say blog, I mean, we talk about short and long form content. The most valuable blogs from an SEO perspective are long ones. How to do this, as I said earlier, comparisons, important to include infographics and images so that it's pleasing to the eye. But long form content on your blog is really, really good for search engine optimization. I know a woman who was, she does online courses now, but for many years she was a Squarespace web designer, and she blogged consistently for 18 months, twice a week, long form blogs about how to use Squarespace, the web platform, twice a week for 18 months. And the results were that she was actually ranking higher on Google at the end of it than Squarespace.com, the actual brand itself. And if you look back at her blogs, they are super helpful to Squarespace designers, but also people doing DIY sites on Squarespace. And you may go, yeah, but all that content's already on Squarespace. Yeah, but she did it she used the language of her ideal customer. It's just super helpful content. So if you want to rank higher on Google, start blogging, create content for Google to find. But it does have to be well written. It has to be nicely laid out, and first and foremost, it needs to be useful to your ideal customer. Because if Google sees that people land on your blog page and then take off 2 seconds later, well, they're going to go, oh, hang on, people are landing there, but they're not actually reading. They're not staying. So that's a signal to Google that, well, maybe it's not that valuable. The content is not that valuable. There's lots of ways of improving your search engine optimization. Naming your images appropriately, making sure your images are resized for web so that your website is, speedy, that it's works on mobile, all that kind of stuff. But once you have all that set up, and that's kind of like the basics, then from an ongoing perspective, creating fresh content, and your blog is the easiest place to do that, or vlog if you prefer to do video. Absolutely do that too. So as I mentioned, yeah, YouTube, the number 2 search engine. So video is as powerful, if not more powerful. People now prefer watching video than reading blogs. I just mentioned here a couple of sites where you can learn more about search engine optimization. A site called backlinko.com. He writes very digestible, easy to understand blogs about SEO. Neil Patel, a little more tech. I don't enjoy his stuff. He gets like really into the nitty gritty of technical SEO. And then Moz is one of many tools out there that can help you look for keywords and phrases that people are searching for in your niche. Okay, I'm going to stop for a second. Okay, so funding options. So say you're ready to go out there into the world of business, and you need branding, you need a website, you need some photography. It's all going to add up financially for sure, but there are funding options out there. So the most obvious one is a trading online voucher. So that's a voucher that's given out by the local enterprise office. So it's countrywide in Ireland. I don't know what funding is available in the UK to anyone on the call who's in the UK at the moment, but certainly for Irish businesses, the local enterprise office have this voucher system. So you do need to be in business 6 months. That is a prerequisite. But other than that, I think, and you have to have less than 10 employees. So the way to go about getting the voucher, well, first of all, ring your Leo and say, you know, I'm setting up a business, or I'm in business and I'd like to apply for your trading online voucher. They will direct you to their website, where you can sign up for a webinar that you have to do. Now the webinar, all the Leos across the country organize these webinars. You can hop on a webinar with any Leo. It doesn't have to be your local one. So I'm in Dún Laoghaire, so this obviously Dún Laoghaire right down, local enterprise office. You have to submit your application to your local Leo, so where you live or where you work. But this webinar that you have to do before you can apply, you can do that with any Leo. So the webinar is basically a 3-hour session. They're all held online now. You will learn loads. Sorry, that's my doorbell, which I'm just going to ignore. You learn loads about online trading, about websites, about everything that I've spoken about today. Really, really well-run webinars. And the idea is that they give you things to think about before you make your application. So to make your application, you need 3 quotes. So if you were getting a website design, applying for funding for your website, you need 3 individual quotes from different web designers. The same if you're getting photography done, you need 3 quotes. Branding. You can also include a digital marketing strategy as part of your application. Some of the apps, the online apps. So if you were using, for example, Squarespace, you could include your annual subscription to Squarespace as part of your funding application. So what they do is they will cover up to 50% of your costs, but up to a maximum of €2,500. So basically, if you spend €5,000, they will give you €2,500 back. If you spend €4,000, they'll give you €2,000 back. If you spend €1,500, well, they'll give you $750 back. So they'll give you 50% of your costs up to a maximum contribution of €2,500. Now you may be going, oh my God, I have to spend $5,000 on my website and all of that. But trust me, by the way, if you need to get your branding done and your website and then some photography, and the imagery on your website is so important, particularly in your industry, trust me, you won't be far off $5,000 if you get it done properly with a professional. And obviously to be able to get 50% of that back is huge. Like it's free money. So I would highly recommend that you look into that. There's also funding through Intertrade Ireland, which is a cross-border initiative. They have a similar system to the trading online voucher. I have not applied for it. I'm told that the cross-border aspect is not actually that important, that even if you're not trading with Northern Ireland, you can still apply for it. So they have supports as well open to businesses all across the country. And then the other thing I forgot to mention, is that with the trading online voucher, you can actually apply for a second one. So if you get your branding done and branding and photography done, now there does have to be a website element included, but say you use the first one to get your branding, some photos and your website, well then you could, once that's done, you could go back and apply again then to work with somebody on a digital marketing strategy. Online advertising can also be included, so you can actually go back for a second round. I have a blog post actually on the trading online voucher that if you look up lucydesigns.ie/blog, it's probably blog/trading online voucher, you'll find it, and I answer loads of commonly asked questions about that system. But as I say, it's free money, and yeah, the only criteria is, well, you have to be 6 months trading or show that you've at least registered your name with the CRO for 6 months. And you can register with the CRO even as a sole trader. You don't have, CRO is the company's registration office. You don't actually have to be a limited company. Sole traders, you should register your business name with the CRO, and if you can prove to the LEO, even if you're not actually trading, if you can prove to the LEO that you've done that within the last 6 months, you're eligible. The other thing to bear in mind is that there does have to be a trading online element to your website. Now, that doesn't mean that you, to get the voucher, that doesn't mean you actually have to be taking money through your website. The online, like a scheduler, like I mentioned earlier, that I have for setting up, say, an inquiry call with me, that ticks that box. There has to be some toing and froing of communication with your customer through your website in order to be eligible. But a pure portfolio website with just like a regular contact page and your email, that's not sufficient for the trading online voucher. So, but those scheduling tools, Calendly is a very popular free one. That's easy to add to your website, and that ticks that box for the LEO. And that's it. So thank you for your attention. I hope that was useful, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Wow, amazing information there, Lucy. Absolutely brilliant.
Okay.
I have a few questions anyway.
Sure.
I see Gail. Thank you, Gail. She posted up the link for the trading online voucher for the local enterprise office. Gail is our resident. We have Gail and Tricia are our resident virtual assistants. They're past students who are just amazing at finding links. So thanks for that, Gail. Any other questions, guys? Is when you have Lucy on now at the moment, user and abuser. That's what we tell you in the Bloom Room when you have us. Use us and abuse us when you have her live, and to answer any questions. Lucy, I have a question regarding the funding. So does we say the 5,000 or whatever money you spent have to be spent with the one person, or can it be over a few? So €200 or say €2,000 on a photographer, €1,000 on branding. Can it be done that way?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I don't do photography, so I refer my clients to photographers. So they, you know, the only downside is then that they have to go and speak to 3 different photographers to get 3 different quotes. So sometimes the photographers I work with, I include their quote as part of my quote just to make it easy for my clients, that they don't have to. So I'll just include it. That means the payment has to go through me, but I'm just a conduit really. But I offer that if it makes things easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
But no, typically you might have a digital marketeer who quotes you for a marketing strategy, and then a web designer for. So no, and they don't have to be in Ireland either. So any brand designer or web designer, whether they're in the US or Ireland, that it doesn't matter as long as they can provide a quote. Okay.
Ellen says, brilliant information. The 8 seconds when you go on a website, she's definitely going to remember that. Yeah, I need to go onto my website and spend 8 seconds.
It's really hard. There's a marketeer called Marty Neumeyer. So Marty, M-A-R-T-Y, Neumeyer, N-E-U-M-I-M-E-I-E-R, Marty Neumeyer. Anyway, he calls it your onlyness statement. If you look up onlyness statement, he has videos, and his website obviously talks about it. And he gets into that tagline and gives examples, like really creative examples of, from, I can't remember what it is now, but like the Harley Davidson one is class, and it's really like, it's just perfect for their target audience. It wouldn't be, but anyway, your only misstatement, if you Google that, it just gets some more information on how to get that, so that we know straight away when we land on your website what you do, who you do it for, why you're different. That's the why you and not me, or why you and not the other business. But yeah, you've only got 8 seconds, so you got to be clear.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other question, actually, somebody sent me a message and asked which is best. I sort of know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway. A vlog or a blog?
Oh, if you can do both. If you can do both, that woman that I referred to earlier, who ranks higher on Google than Squarespace itself, her emails that I now get from her. So she blogged obviously for years. The emails that I get from her, I'm on her list. I've 2 options in her email. I can click on the link to go and watch the video, or if I prefer to take my time and read it, click on the link and go over to the blog. So she's capturing.
Okay. I know I have done it before where Gail, thank you. She's posted up the Marty Newmer website, The Onlyness. Thank you, Gail. If you're watching on YouTube, because we have we are live on YouTube as well at the moment, I will post these links on the YouTube when we're finished. I just can't post links. When I'm live from here, I can't post the links. And Sinead, our actual virtual assistant who works with us, is actually not available at the moment. I have put videos into, what's the name of it, where they, Rav, is it, that they transcribe it for me?
Okay, yeah.
And I suppose it's probably the lazy option than writing the blog. I've just sort of transcribed it into writing and just fixed it a little bit,
Yeah,
but it's better than nothing.
Otter, I think, is another tool that does transcriptions. I mean, video is definitely, it's the way to go. You just have to remember that, yes, you need the transcription, and, when you're uploading it to YouTube, that, again, you fill in all the section below. So, so again, that content can be found. But and of course your video, then you can like your blog, you can repurpose it on your social media. I mean, video is definitely.
Super. And the landing page, Lucy, this was one. This is my own question, okay? So would a landing, so we say for a florist, like not for us as a school, but we say for the students that are florists, would your landing page be Valentine's Day and you have an ad running for Valentine's Day? And would it be then that you have your 3 bouquets that you're selling for Valentine's Day on that landing page, or does the landing page bring them to the website that sells the bouquets?
No, the landing page itself is where they click buy.
Okay, right. Okay, that's right.
Yeah, it's like a sort of a standalone mini website, if you like, but it's
and is it off your website? Is it like your www.flowers, like where say ours is Flower School Ireland, or what?
So there's different ways of doing it. As I say, if you already have a website, it would be part of your website, but designed in such a way that there's, as I say, nothing else going on. As they even hide your footer, hide your header. There's code you can put in to hide those things, so that really, that there's no distractions for the user. Some of the email apps also allow you to build standalone landing pages. So if you didn't have a website, for example, or there's ClickFunnels, I think it's called, is an app that just basically creates landing pages. So, I mean, ideally you have a website. You do have a website. But I also use landing pages sometimes for my opt-in gifts. So like I give, like a free guide to email marketing or whatever. I create a landing page within my email app, so it's not connected to my website. But the beauty is I just have to I have a shorter link that I can then share on social media. And when the person lands on the landing page, obviously it's branded, it's got my colors and fonts and all that stuff. but they're not on my website. I'm like, all I want you to do is give me your email.
I've often wondered that because we use MailChimp. Now, I don't really I personally, this is a complete personal thing, I don't open a lot of those emails that come through. So I'm not saying email campaigns don't work, because obviously they do, but I just find that I usually go into promotions and I click delete and I don't open any of them, unless I suppose something really catches my eye, or unless I'm looking for, I don't know, I know what's more, and I clicked into Calvin Klein jocks because that's what the lads were looking for. And I knew there would be a promotions email, an email from them in it to see if they had any offers on. But yeah, I have seen in MailChimp where you can actually set up a landing page through MailChimp. Yeah. So for the likes of these guys that are only starting out and don't have a website, would that be a good option for them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not, those landing pages are like, they are campaign focused. So they're not, I sometimes do like a one-page web for people who are only starting out and have no money, like little or no money. I mean, I've done one-page websites, like scrolling one page. They work really well as well. I think you'd end up being a bit frustrated if you were trying to use MailChimp for your website. I think I'd probably say do a really good Facebook page instead. You'd be more chance of being found on Google through one of the social media platforms than having a presence on MailChimp, if you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. So the $60,000 question, which they're all wanting to ask, is how much is the website?
Okay, so all I can tell you is what I charge.
Absolutely.
Because you can get a website for €300, you can get a website for €500, you can get a website for €10,000. So typically I would work with, solopreneurs, micro businesses, or small businesses, professional services, whatever. My websites start, if there's that e-commerce element, so either a scheduling or an online shop. Now, obviously, if you've got 5,000 products, it's gonna cost more. But if it has an e-commerce element, I start at $3,250, and then if there's more, it does depend. If you then want me to integrate, so within Squarespace, which is the platform that I use, if you want me to integrate, for example, or get you set up with their email app, well, I'm going to charge you a bit more for that. But I have a 2-week web design process, which my clients really appreciate. I have a whole sort of system, I have a process that makes it really easy and straightforward. So if we agree to work together, first of all, I have a 12-page content planner that I share with all my customers, where I talk about a lot of the stuff I talk about today, but what to think about for each page, what to think about for your home page, your about page, your services page, your contact page, your FAQ page, all that stuff. So you have a bit of, it's only a guide. It's not directive, but at least gives you something to think about. Then I would create a shared folder on Google Drive with a subfolder for your content, another one for your images. I have a design questionnaire that I ask you to complete, where I ask you for some information about your business, your ideal customer, the look and feel that you want for your website, some inspiration websites that you might, there might be something on them that you like. And then we set up a meeting once your content is all uploaded. So that homework, that's actually the hardest bit. And that's what the client has to do.
And that's actually something I think people need to be very aware of, is because, as I said, we are getting work done on our online platform website at the moment. And even though, like, I would do a lot of the changes to our own website, I forgot. So I sort of handed it to her and I'm like, yeah, that's great now. And that's done. And all of a sudden then the emails are coming, Deirdre, have you got this? Deirdre, have you got that? And I'm like, oh, feck it. I forgot. Like, really, like, it is us, the customer has to do the work to give it to the web designer. And I think that's sort of a really good point to remember that. And I actually think you should, because as you said earlier on, you didn't know about flowers. And so how can you do a frequently asked question when you don't know what somebody's going to ask about flowers?
I do. Yeah. So people say to me, oh, how quickly can you do my website? I'm like, don't worry, me doing the website quickly is not the problem. It's you have to go in and write it and get your photos done, and the writing, and then think about SEO, and so do we do some keyword research first and all that stuff. So But once that's done, then we usually get started on a Monday. We have a Zoom call. I check through all their go through all their content with them. And then once I'm sort of clear on what we're trying to achieve, that's when I get to work. Now, if I do see content that I kind of know is, or if they haven't really thought about their headlines, or if it's all about themselves, like I do tend to give, I don't just take it and go, oh yeah, there you go. Like,
throw it up. Yeah.
And that's why I'm potentially maybe a little bit more expensive, I don't know, than the competitions, because I actually do really, like, we do a deep dive and I really get into the nitty gritty of what your business is. And I do try and, because some designers are just designers. It's like, give me your stuff and I'll make it look pretty. Or they're tech and they're just like, yeah, I'll build it, but they're not really thinking about your business. So,
and I actually think that's such an important point, because we would, even the students say, what about getting the free websites, and it's all great, but I think when you move your business to a different level, you really need, and it is a case of you get what you pay for, and pay peanuts and you get monkeys. And we have seen that in so many different aspects of
everything
business. And do you know what? Sometimes it can cost so much more in the long run than going with the cheaper alternative. I would always say go with somebody who you connect with.
Of course.
I feel, even like talking to you, Lucy, and this is our first time talking, I actually feel, even though you don't know a lot about flowers, I actually feel I would get it working with you, because I suppose it's just, and some of the people watching here today are probably saying, oh Jesus, no, I wouldn't get it with her, and it really is important to get it with the person that you can ring them up and say, or Zoom them or whatever. I actually think $3,250 for a website is actually a very good price. And especially if you get the trading online voucher, it's even better.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's why I do have that diary to set up a free intro call with me, because that connection, and like 9 times out of 10 when I get somebody on Zoom, they then work with me, because I'm I can do the tech, I'm a designer, but that blooming marketing hat is just really important. I try, and I just try and make it easy, because I have clients who come on and go, I have the clue about technology, so I include, once they go live, I do a recorded training with them. One of the reasons I use Squarespace is that it is one of the most intuitive platforms. So that all ties in with my vision and how I work, and I want it to be easy for people. I want, there's no reason why nobody can make a success of a business online in this day and age. And I just feel like I can give you the tools to make that happen. And for you then to be able to manage that ongoing. I don't typically charge retainers. If somebody wants to pay me to do updates, I will, but I'm really like, this is your online shop. You've got to be able to upload your blog, add a product to a shop, or add photos to a gallery.
That's so important. Yeah, so important. Facebook user, would you recommend registering your company name and then purchasing your website, even if you're not in a position to set up a website yet?
So register your company name, particularly if you're going to go for the trading online voucher. Purchasing your website, I wouldn't pay any subscriptions or anything to anything until you're ready to actually get the work done.
So would you recommend, so we say we were starting out and we registered as Case Flower School, should we go then and buy the domain?
Well, I was going to say, well, when you're thinking about the name for your business, have a look and see what domains, because it'd be terrible to spend 3 weeks with your brand designer and thinking about business names, and then you go to look for the domain and find that's either already taken or so by all means grab a domain early on. I mean, that's like 15 quid a year or something. Like, domains are not expensive, but the actual paying a web designer or subscribing to a platform such as Squarespace or Wix or Kajabi or wherever you are online, don't do that until you're ready to go.
Yeah. Lucy, amazing, absolutely. And I'm sure there'll be plenty more questions that'll be coming in. I will put up Lucy's website address, and you can go over and you can click on that little thing that's you can book a call with her. I think that's great. I've seen that on a few websites now. that people, if they want to book in like a Zoom or a whatever sort of
Yeah,
talk.
yeah, no, it's, I mean, I think I say you get 30 minutes, you usually get an hour out of me, so I need to create my own boundaries there. But yeah, or if people want to email me, Lucy at Lucy Designs or whatever, I'm around social media a bit as
And she's
well.
on Facebook as well, guys. So you'll find her on Facebook. Anyone that's watching on Facebook, and I'm sure you're on Instagram too, are you?
I'm on Instagram, but I'm not really working on Instagram at the moment. But I'm there. O'Reilly. I'm O'Reilly.Lucy. I'm not even Lucy Designs. I'm not really. I need to get to grips with Instagram. I'm too busy. Too busy building websites.
I know, this is it.
But yeah,
you can't do everything.
Happy to answer any questions. Just tell me you were on the call, and no problem.
Absolutely, yeah. Listen, Lucy, thank you so much. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Anyone that's watching on the replay, feel free to comment below. And yeah, thank you so much. I actually think Lucy is our last talk speaker workshop that we have now until September, because the school will be winding down now for the next couple of weeks. And so listen, guys, thanks a million. Anyone that's in the Bloom studio, we'll be talking to you during the week, and anyone in the Bloom room at the moment, we will talk to you tomorrow. And thanks a million. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye. Enjoy your summer.